Oh, hi guys. Thanks for joining us this morning. As you can see on the screen, my name is Ray Adams and I'm a Chartered Financial Planner. And I founded CashCalc a few years ago, and we're now part of the FE Fund Info family. So we're going to talk about digitally onboarding your client today. And you normally have a written list of an agenda, but as you probably know now, with my time at CashCalc, I like to explain everything with pretty pictures and pretty icons. So what we're going to look at today is what you can see on the screen there about your first engagement with the client and onboarding them, or even potentially encouraging them to onboard themselves, whether you want to utilize disclosure documents and whether you want those to be digitally signed. An important part of the onboarding process now is anti-money laundering. And of course, the main thing that you and I do every day of the week, which is fact-finding. Moving on then, you've got to do an attitude risk questionnaire. Well, you don't have to actually, you just have to assess your client's risk, but in our profession now, we seem to use questionnaires quite a lot. So we're going to look at all of these things, and I'll touch on open banking and letters of authority, which I personally think are broken in the United Kingdom at the moment. We all just seem to accept that we're going to get the client to sign a piece of paper and we're going to post it off to some random address and then hear nothing for weeks and weeks. And then when you do get it, it's wrong. It seems to be broken, and I'm behind the scenes trying to, poke and prod and get this thing fixed. But we're going to look at, how do you exchange documents with the client and how do you exchange messages with them? And of course, I'm going to touch on the fact that at CashCalc, we've developed an app for you and your client to use. So anyway, let's crack on and look at the first stage, which is an invite to the client. So I'm a chartered financial planner, so that would mean that I pretty much do a similar job to many of you listening today, that you're financial advisors. Some of you will be power planners as well. And we take inbound calls from people saying, hey, Ray, I've been recommended to use your services. Can I make an appointment to see you? And that's a fairly typical call. I'm sure many of you have had that. They probably didn't say Ray though when they rang you. So historically, what we would do, we would book that client in. Maybe I chat on the phone first to see whether they are the right type of client for us and we're the right type of advisor for them. And then we'd book them in to have an appointment. And that could be at their workplace or home address. So we'd have to travel there, or we could get them to come to ours and they travel to us. And then we'd sit for 2.5 hours and have a meeting and do a KYC. What we started to do at my IFA firm niche several years ago, and then with CashCalc is built the software to help us do that and help you guys do it, was to get the client to do quite a bit of the work for us. So I love doing fact finds. I love chatting to clients. I love meeting different people. Love asking questions and finding out about their goals and aspirations. But then writing it all down on a piece of paper actually is probably the boring bit. And the FCA, whenever they do an investigation into a firm which has done something wrong, invariably the feedback is there wasn't enough information in the fact find. And quite often the advisor would say, well, actually, I knew that, but I just didn't write it down. Okay, and therein lies some of the challenges. We're great at doing KYC, but we're not necessarily great at always getting the information down. So my view is, why don't you get the client to do some of the boring bits? So let's go back to this client that was rung in and said, hey, can I make an appointment? So the first thing we can do is just on the left-hand side, you can see add a brand new client. But there could be a time when this is potentially an existing client, you haven't seen them for a few years, but actually you want them to be onboarding themselves. So you could import them from your back office. We've, in the drop down there, got Curo Time for Advice, but we sync with most of the main back offices in the UK. So you could just sync the client in. But let's say this is a brand new client, the one that's rung in. And so all we need to do is, first of all, find out whether we can assist this client and they're right for us. And then we need to know their name, date of birth, their email address, and their mobile phone. And we can say to the client, look, in the olden days, we'd have booked an appointment, we'd have spent 2.5 hours working with you, and I'd have asked you lots of questions. What we're going to try and do is make the whole process much more interesting for you and much more efficient for us. And I'm going to send you a link which you can click on that link and you can give me the hard facts, you know, what's your name, what's your address, where you work, and some basic information ahead of the meeting. Now, the great news is that means that you're going to think about your finances ahead of the meeting, and I'll do the same by looking over the data. So hopefully when we then meet, it'll become much more efficient and we don't need to sit together for 2.5 hours, because we can actually get straight to the crux of what you want advice about. So you can send that link out to the client. On the right-hand side, you can see, use the self-onboard link. So whilst we're at this point, guys, I'm assuming if that client has rang in for the appointment with me or you, or they've been recommended by their brother or work colleague or whatever. And I'm almost certain they would have Googled you first, or me, and had a look at our website to see who we are and say, yep, there's the one, or maybe to get our telephone number. Now, what you can do with CashCalc is produce a link so the client can self-onboard. It's really, really useful feature. For example, if after this webinar, if you just want to Google Niche IFA, which is my FA company, and then look at our website, on several of the pages, including the Contact Us page and the Fees page, there's a nice big pink button saying Become a Client. Not ring us, not email us, it actually says Become a Client. And as soon as they click on that, they will see what's on the right-hand part of your screen. It'll be my company logo at Niche, or in your case, it'll be your company logo. And the client can literally just go and put their name and details in there, create their own password, and go straight in, self-onboard. And you'll probably think, nah, clients won't do that. I put that live at Niche and said to my team about 2 years ago, let's see how we get on with this. And within 48 hours, we had a 58-year-old gentleman onboarded himself. He did a full fact find. He had a 56-year-old wife. He had £280,000 of investments he wanted to do in his pension. And his fact find that he did was outstanding. So I said to my team, this works. So we've now made it available for the whole of the country. I'll tell you some stats later on why I think you should do it as well. So let's go back to the bit on the left-hand side now, which is inviting the client because you're on the phone to them. So you can invite them by sending them an email. And as you can see, there's a little radio button there saying email via CashCalc, or you could click the other radio button which says send myself by copying in. So what we can do is you can literally just click next, next, next. There's a pre-prepared email coming out of CashCalc with your branding on it, with our phraseology we put together, you know, ramming home security, security, security. But if you want to send your own email because you want to do something at the same time, or you've got your own font or colors you want to do, you can just copy the link yourself. If you're not bothered either way, I'd encourage you to use the CashCalc one. It gives us great management information because we know how many invites you've said, how many you've got back, and we can see your return rate, etc. So what you can see then is that the reason you want their mobile phone is that because if you put their mobile phone in, as you can see on the top right hand of your page now, CashCalc will automate by text a PIN number to their mobile phone. So the client clicks on the link that you've sent them by email, but all that takes them to is a PIN code page. Let me just show you what they see. They see where they've got to put a PIN code in, and then they can create their password. Now, the reason we do this, because if the client has their laptop stolen or they lose their iPad, somebody could just open up their emails, click on a link, and go straight in and look at their financial information. And obviously that's just unacceptable. So you've got to have two-factor authentication. And I'm obsessed with this. And we introduced two-factor authentication within CashCalc about 4 years ago. So let me just go back 1 second. So if we look at step 3, bottom left-hand corner, when you send the email link to invite the client into the portal, what you can do is you can just have the fact find. So bottom left, you can see there's a green tick next to the fact find, or you can share other things. So in this case, just an example, we've ticked that we're going to share some disclosure documents, and we're going to put a link in there, and we're going to put an attitude to risk, and we're going to do anti-money laundering. Now, there's a lot to do up front there, and I would suggest you only do that if you've had a good conversation with the client on the phone, or maybe you've already had a discovery meeting with them and you now want to get them to do the full onboarding. At Niche, we literally do the fact find and documents, because we've got our disclosure documents which they can click on and accept and read. So we've already touched on that one previously. So as you can see now on this page, bottom right-hand corner, a pink box has appeared which says client view. Everything up to now has been what you see. So whenever it goes to be the client view, it will just you'll just see that little flash in the right-hand corner, because I'm going to flick between what you do and then what the client sees. So the client has now clicked on your link you've sent them. They've put their PIN code in, they created their own password, and then they've seen this. And as you can see now, good afternoon, John. This is your own secure portal to communicate and securely share information with, your company. And just in that sentence, we've used the word secure twice. And that's a deliberate decision by me and the CashGal team. We want to constantly send the message, it's secure. And if you look at the top, we said the client logs into their secure portal. I know I keep going on about it, guys, but security is vital and we're obsessed by it. So in this case, we've sent them a request to update the fact find. And as you can see, there's also identity checks and attitude to risk below. But of course, if you only want them to do the fact find and disclosure documents, that's all which would appear. So your client's now going to work with you to do their fact find so you can know your client and meet your FCA obligations. So the first thing is, we've built a fact find using my experience, my team's experience, but also the feedback from the thousands of users we've got, and created a pretty standard fact find. And as you can see, those blue toggle buttons on the left, there's less than a dozen sections. So if you're sat there thinking, I've tried this, I've sent fact finds to my client, they just won't do it. If I was able to have a two-way conversation with you, I'd be asking you things like, how have you done it? Quite often when I've asked advisors, they've said, yeah, I email a PDF out to the client. How long is the PDF? Oh, it's quite long. Well, there are some back offices which will produce a 58-page PDF. When I discuss this with advisors, they say, yeah, but page 2 and page 3 are just previous addresses. That's not relevant. Well, if it's not relevant, why are we sending it to the client then? Because we're going to send it to the client. The client's going to have to read page 2 and then decide it's not relevant and strike through it. It's not really ideal. And if I was the client, I wouldn't be filling that in. I'm too busy to read a 58-page document. So the first thing we've done with CashGal is bring it all down to about less than a dozen pages. And those blue toggle buttons mean that you can turn pages on and off, so you can gate it. So if you literally think, well, all I want is basic information off that client, you could toggle half of the fact find off and just get their basic contact details if you want. Also on the right-hand side, you can see 2 add to tailor questions. So whilst I've said we've built a fact find, which I think should meet the needs of most advisors, if you've always got certain questions you like to ask, like for example, are you expecting any inheritances, and that's not included in the fact find we've built, you can just add questions, you can add entire pages. So everything you see within the fact find, you can build an entire page, or you can build an entire fact find if you want. We've got quite a few users in Ireland, and one of our users built an entire fact find, which was effectively a protection application form. So he just built the entire fact find as if he was going to fill in an application for life insurance. And he just, when he's ready to do it, he just sends the fact find out to the client and they fill it in. So back to what the client can see now, bottom right corner, client view. So the client has clicked on complete your fact find. And as you can see, it's not a huge list on the left-hand side. There's the less than dozen sections. And you can see it's grayed out where they haven't got to that section yet, and is darker black where they're working on there. All fairly basic stuff. But it dynamically responds to what the client is saying. So what do I mean by that? Okay. So one of the first things we need to do is get the client's details, including their address. Now, I don't know about you, but if I use a website for something and I need to put my address in, maybe I bought something online and I have to type my full address, it just annoys me straight away, because it's really, really easy to do a postcode lookup nowadays. So of course you'd expect Gascalc has got postcode lookup. And if you're sitting there thinking, wow, Ray, that's really exciting, you've got a postcode lookup. Let me explain why it's important. So as you can see, we use a company called Fetchify. And before the client puts their postcode in, there's a question above it saying, what's your ownership status here? Do you own it with a mortgage? Own it without a mortgage? Do you live with your parents? Do you rent it, or other? Fairly simple, really. And because this client has said own with a mortgage, we know that at some point they're going to be filling in a page 5, which is assets, and they're going to be filling in page 6, which is liabilities. So the client then puts their postcode in. We immediately use Fetchify and bring back the 15 or so addresses in that postcode. And as the client selects it, we fill it in. And you're thinking, yeah, I'm still not too excited now, Ray. As you can see at the bottom of that page, it's also filled when they moved in, which in this case is in June 2008. And how do we do that? It's because we've done an API. We've done an API with Land Registry. And I think somehow my screens have gone the wrong way around. We've done an API with Land Registry on the right-hand side, because we found out when they acquired that property from Land Registry. We also found out how much they paid for that property. Now, at the same time, we can then go out to a Zoopla-like company, and we use a company called Property Data, and it brings in the current value of houses within that postcode area. So why am I telling you all of these names? Well, first of all, HM Land Registry, government organization, they don't charge us. API is free. Fetchify did about 500,000 postcode lookups for us last year, and we pay them 100 quid a month. And that's for the entire company. So this is not an expensive thing for us as a software provider to give you to make your clients' life easier. Property Data. We were going to use Zoopla because it's a well-known name, and they wanted £2,500 plus VAT for the starting lookups, and it depended on how many we did, the price went up. Our Property Data is 35 quid a month plus VAT, 42 quid. So because I'm a financial advisor and I watch the pennies, we're able to keep Cashcalc as keenly priced as possible. And we then pass these savings on to you. So the reason I've spent a long time here is we don't annoy your client like I get annoyed by having to type my address. So that's the first thing. We pre-fill in when they moved into it. So hopefully now with the clients thinking, how do they know I live there? Then when they move on to the assets section or the liabilities section, and things are already pre-completed, we're now delighting your client. And when I say we, it's actually you delighting your client, because the client has clicked on your link, your company name, and is in your fact find with your branding. We just happen to be powering it. So every time I say we're trying to delight your client, we're trying to help you delight your client. Because now what you're doing is engaging the client in the whole process. So bear in mind, let's remind ourselves of what we've done at the moment. You've had a discovery chat with a client on the phone, you've taken their name, date of birth, email address, mobile phone, and you've sent them an email. That's it. You've done 5 to 10 minutes work. Now the client is doing all of their fact find. So, you know, they're engaging in the process and they're improving the whole process for you and saving you time. What we've also tried to do, because I'm a financial planner and I've been doing this for 25, 30 years now, and when I first trained with the Wesleyan in general in Birmingham, I was trained on Pepsi or PIPSI, protection, earnings, pension, savings, investments, So you don't sell an ISIL in the old days of PEP if the client needs life cover. So to me, we've got to cover the basics. The last thing I ever wanted to do is to go and see one of my clients and do £100 a month into a PEP or ISA, and then go back and see the widow a year later and say, oh, your peppers, you put 1,200 quid in, but it's worth 1,500 quid. Oh, but your husband's dead and we've got nothing to pay out. I'd much rather do a 30 quid life cover and 70 quid into an ISA. So what we've tried to do with CashCalc is help you identify a few protection needs. So once the client has worked through the fact find, when they get to the health and protection, if you see on the left-hand side where the green buttons are, it says health and protection. If the client has put in that they've got children, or the client has put in that they've got a mortgage, and they get to the health and protection and they put down that they've got no life cover, or they haven't got a will or power of attorney, before they click next, it just pops up and says, you've said you've got children, but you've got no life cover. Would you like your advisor to chat to you about this? And it's not something we're in their face about. It's just a little gentle nudge. And I'm delighted to say that last year, we had just under 36,000 objectives were set by clients at this nudge section, where they asked their advisor to talk about life, kick, wills, or power of attorney. 36,000 times. So that client may well have been coming to you to consolidate pensions or do an investment, and hopefully we've created nearly 36,000 opportunities where you can actually do some other products for the client. It's just a small area of what we're trying to do with CashCalc, not to ram things down them, but just to engage them on the process and help you. And on the right-hand side, I'm currently talking to iPipeline to say, hey, once we've got this, can the advisor push the data straight to you and you bring back some indicative quotes? Just trying to integrate and connect up everything within this profession. So assuming now on the left-hand side, right at the bottom, the client's done their objectives, they submit it. What actually happens then, it pops up and says, yeah, this is now going to be sent over to your advisor. Client can just print a copy if they want to. Once they've done that, you get notified that they've done it. And what I'm moving on to now is one of the other items on the agenda after the fact find, which is an attitude to risk questionnaire. And I've got eValue there. And the reason I've got that is because when I joined FE, I said I wanted to fix as many of the pain points that advisors are facing in their day-to-day job. So it's not just a case of let's build some great software, here you are, use it and change your business to work around me. Because I'm an advisor, I said, these are the pain points we hit when we're dealing with clients. How can we fix them? And the reason I do that is one of my team he did a degree in journalism in Cardiff, and they worked at McDonald's to help him fund his way through university. And he said to me when he joined me, he said, oh, one of the things that McDonald's did is they moved the button for a Big Mac to the top of the till in McDonald's. And I said, why did they do that? He said it was the biggest selling burger, and they worked out that by putting it at the top of the till, easiest one to find, it saved, like half a second every time somebody ordered a Big Mac. And they worked out that multiplied by all the Big Macs they sold, they made X millions more. And I thought, wow, that's great. So what I tried to do is a similar thing of fixing pain points. If I know there's a pain point and we can just save 5 minutes doing it, then all those 5 minutes will add up. And one of those things we need to do is attitude to risk questionnaire. So we had no plans to deliver our own attitude to risk questionnaire. There's already a Phenometricas, Oxford Risks, and Dynamic Planners and eValue out there. The last thing we want to do is try and build another software. So I wanted to make other software available. Spoke to FE and they said, yeah, let's integrate with everybody. But actually, we've got a great relationship with eValue. Why don't we talk to them about embedding their attitude risk questionnaire within CashCalc? Brilliant. So we spoke to them. It's their eValue, it's their IP, and we literally just have embedded it within CashCalc, so it looks like it's yours. So it's your branding and your questions, all powered by eValue. And the great thing is that FE said, we'll take that on the chin. So we won't charge this as an extra module. If advisors want to use it, it's included in the standard subscription to CashCalc. So if you guys are using an attitude risk questionnaire and you were thinking of reviewing it, well, there's one inbuilt within CashCalc now at no extra cost to you. There's 13 questions on the ATR, and then got capacity for loss, which is another 5 questions, and knowledge experience, another 2. Personally, I think capacity of loss is not about questioning, it's about mathematics, but you know, we all have different views. So we have those questions available from eValue, but as you can see on screen there, you can toggle them on and toggle them off. So you can just send the 13 if you want, or you can send 13 plus 5 plus the 2. So this is what your client will see. Fairly simple questions. It'll have your logo where it says ABC Financial Services on the top left. And very, very, very simple questions. Now, as well as being an advisor, I'm also a client. I don't give myself advice. One of the chartered financial planners at Niche is my advisor to me and my wife. So I've been a client filling in an attitude to risk questionnaire, and my wife has as well. And one of the things that used to frustrate me is that Niche has used a digital attitude to risk questionnaire for many years. And when I filled it in as the client and submitted it, it said, thank you very much. Great. So I'm the client. I've just filled 13 questions in. What am I? Tell me. But actually, it just says thank you. So when we embedded eValue into CashCalc, I said we have to give the client some feedback immediately. So as soon as the client finishes the last question and click send, they immediately see a screen like this, which tells them what attitude to risk they've come out as, indicatively, and also a paragraph describing the type of person, so they can say, yeah, that sounds like me, and no, it doesn't, and a suggested asset allocation mix there with a pretty color. So we're giving your client some immediate feedback, but also saying, look, this is going to go to your advisor, and you're going to have a conversation about this. So you've now just had an automated email to say your client has done this, they've come out as a risk profile 4. You've then got the opportunity to talk to your client, because you guys know that doesn't mean they're a 4. It means that it's an opportunity for you to have a conversation with the client and see whether that's where you feel they sit on the risk profile. And actually having a conversation with them, I've just used the example that when you chatted through with the client, you felt that 1 or 2 of their questions were almost conflicting, and you said, yeah, they've misunderstood one of them. And actually, when you re-looked at it, you felt that they were slightly more cautious, and you've agreed with the client they're more appropriate for a risk profile 3 in this case. So this is a great audit trail for you guys, that you can get the client engaged in this process. You've got some great compliance records here, and you can update it. And I say, guys, this has all been embedded within CashCalc at no extra cost. If you still want to use your existing one, that's absolutely fine. That's no problem at all. And we are still talking to others about doing quick buttons so we can link with them. As you know, doing integration is a bit of a slower process than I'd like. But the perfect situation for me is you get to this point, you either use the in-house eValue one, or you press a button, say Oxford Risk or Phenometrica, and as you press it, you have single log on to Oxford Risk, for example, push your client's name, date of birth across there, so it saves you rekeying. That's the sort of things we're looking at behind the scenes. So we're not necessarily wedded to one particular provider. When I joined FE Fund Info, I said we have to remain agnostic and just make available as much as we can and connect up the whole profession if possible. So let's get back to this one now. In this case, the client's come out as a risk profile 3. You now want to go on and say, well, look, I'm going to build a cash flow for this client. After all, you are using CashCalc, which traditionally we're a cash flow provider, and we've extended into digital onboarding. And when you start looking at building a cash flow for a client, if you can see behind the screens there, we're on the assumptions and savings pot stage. Right in the dead center, there's a little toggle button saying only show risk profile 3. You can set the system, because the clients come out as a 3, it will only show you in the drop down risk level 3 if you want. You can untoggle that and it'll show all of them. And then you can build your own central investment proposition. So if you use Vanguard or Tatton or FE investments. In this case, they've got some e-value funds there. So if you might have a list of 50 funds there, so you could at least filter it and say, look, I only want to see the ones appropriate for this client's attitude to risk. In this case, we've selected the extra long-term 16 years plus, and on the right-hand side, you can see the squiggly graph, which is the past performance for that, which is going to be used for your projections in the cash flow. So if you haven't looked at the ATRQ, guys, I'd really, really encourage you to do it. I've convinced FE that you guys will use it, hence they're happy to pay for it. But if no one uses it, then at some point it'll wither and die. So I need you to work with me and help me there, guys. Moving on then to the ethical approach of your client. This is a brand new thing. We've just built at CashCalc. So if any of you are regular users and you're saying, I haven't seen this SIQ, what is it? That's because my marketing team told me not to include it in this presentation today because it's not live yet. And obviously I took no notice of it. Because my developers behind the scenes have built this, and it's past testing, and we've had a bit of feedback from our beta users, but it's about to go live in the next fortnight or so. And it's a sustainable investing questionnaire. I think it's going to become a much bigger part of financial planning. The client's ethical view towards investing and their view to ESG. So instead of just saying to the client, oh, are you ethical? We've put together a sustainable investing questionnaire to see what the client actually does in their everyday life. You know, have they got solar panels on there? Do they do as much as they can with regard to recycling? You know, do they drive an electric vehicle? What are they actually doing day to day? And then potentially we could be grading from, hey, I don't care about ethical, just give me the best return, or I want to do everything possible I can, you know, a dark green, I'm really, really going to try hard, or somewhere in between. And it's going to be fairly simple for your clients to use, guys. I think it's going to be a helpful bit of kit in your armory, and it's going to become available in the next couple of weeks. And again, there's no additional cost, guys. This is just another pain point which we're trying to help you fix. So hopefully what we've done so far by looking at the fact find and the attitude to risk is show you how we're really improving the process, because most of what you're seeing is what the client does. So the client's doing it whilst you're maybe working with another client. But I'm just going to look at the next stages now. We're going to look at what you can do within the client portal. And if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I don't think my client will use a portal, I think they will. And the reason I say that, let's take our financial advisor hats off a second and just put our normal members of the public hat on. I've been using eBay for years. And if I buy something on eBay, I log in with my username and my password because I'm in the eBay portal. And if I then buy something, I probably would look to pay with PayPal. And PayPal used to be a different company owned by somebody else. So you'd then log into PayPal with the username and password. So it was another portal. And actually, eBay actually bought PayPal. So they're now the same company. But if you notice, they still run separately. And you have separate username and passwords. So your clients will log on to multiple portals to live their life. But all eBay have done is said, we assume you're going to pay with PayPal, and they just do a single sign-on and link you straight across with an encrypted record of the username and password for PayPal. So they just make it a seamless process, but you're in two different portals. And it's the same as if you book flights with EasyJet or British Airways or Ryanair, your clients use a username and password. So every day, people are online logging into portals. They just don't realize it's a portal. They're just logging into the website. So when we talk about a portal, don't worry, they're just logging into your website. Because again, this may be CashCalc, but we're helping you to power your business. It's your branding on there, guys, and the client's logging into your fact find and your website to do the information. So we're going to look at how you can do disclosure documents, custom links, which are incredibly useful, incredibly. That was my team at Niche really nagging me and saying, look, we want this. And I'll explain why custom links are really useful. Secure document exchange, we saw in COVID how important that is. Clients weren't even allowed to leave the house to go to the post box. And why should they? And you can do it all with a pick up a smartphone and click and upload it. And then when they do that, they can use secure messenger, LOAs, letter authority, we'll talk about them, and AML, we've already looked at. So let's look at disclosure documents. I said what we do at Niche is if a client self-onboards, they can literally just click in. First thing they see is our fee agreement, and this is our fee agreement. It's actually a welcome brochure, so as the client opens it, there's pictures of me and the team and what we do and our fees. And the client can there and then digitally sign and accept it. And as you can see, that watermark on there has got 6 items on there, which is the client's name, date of birth, time, email address, IP address, and browser. And those 6 items, if they're all captured, means that that is now under European directive digitally signed. We've all got used to DocuSign and Adobe Sign and HelloSign, where there's a squiggle, but actually that's not necessary. That's purely aesthetics. So for simple documents, we thought, well, this is fine. You can do this. My team at CashCalc built it. So there's no cost to this for you guys. So it's there and it's available. So the client can digitally accept that. So you can pre-put them in, or you can send the client any document. So you could send them your suitability report by a document exchange, and you could put on there, I need the client to accept it, so that would appear on there if you wanted to, and it would just be watermarked on the front of your suitability report. You can do with anything you want, guys. Or you can toggle on or off and say, well, actually, I'm just sending the client a copy of something, the latest performance report or portfolio report. I don't need them to digitally accept it, so you just untoggle it and say, yeah. It just becomes an electronic postman. I said I'd talk about letters of authority. It is broken. I'm sorry, I can't completely fix it, but I'm trying a little bit. There's 60 odd providers out there. There's a paraplanner of country called Debbie Conlon who's done a great job. She's put together a report which is freely available on our website. We've got a link to it within CashCalc, where she tells you what all those 60 odd providers want. And there's about 25 of them, I think, will accept DocuSign or DigiSign. There's 3 of them still want a fax. And there's a big list of the ones that still want wet signatures. So you literally, when you're within CashCalc, you could say, just click on the link, go to Debbie's website and say, I'm dealing with Aegon. Aegon have got a central email address and they'll accept a scanned copy of a wet signature. Great. So you could literally produce one of these in CashCalc, which is the letter of authority. And how do you do that? Well, we know your company details and your company address and your FCA number, and we know the client's name, address, national insurance number, date of birth, because they put it in. So we literally just mail merge it, because when the client has gone in and said they've got an Aegon pension, you've then said, print me an LOA, and we just bring it all in. Now, there might not have been the policy number within there, so we just mail merge everything we can. You can then go into the portal, upload this document, which you've just produced as a PDF, do document exchange with the client. I go back there, you do a document exchange there on the top right. You then send the client a secure message. Let's go back there. Bottom left, you just send them a secure message, which is by there, the secure message. So you can literally just say to your client, hey, I've just sent you a document. Can you print it off, wet sign it, and take a picture and send it back, because that's what the provider wants. Or you could do DocuSign or something of that nature. Let me just go back there a sec, guys. So at the moment, we're not taking over the world, but every month over 700 of these LOAs are generated and being sent out by the advisors by document exchange and secure messaging. And I'd like to think we're probably saving 5 to 10 minutes of time. So again, go back to the McDonald's analogy. We're just trying to fix a pain point and make it a bit more efficient. What I'd personally like to see in the future is that when the open banking and open finance providers really get their act together and we can fully integrate their process in there, everybody calls it open banking, but actually it's really open finance. There's a provider in Bristol which has got a relationship with 300 providers, you know, Hargreaves Lansdowne, Brewin Dolphin, LV, et cetera, as well as the big banks. So how cool would it be when the client's working through the fact find, when they get to pension, they say, I got a pension with LV. They click on LV, put the username and password in, brings the value straight in, bang, brings the current holdings, unit numbers in, and there's a little checkbox saying, I give my advisor authority on this product. That's where I think we can get to. We're not quite there yet, but in the meantime, this is what I'm trying to do to help you guys. We've also got AML, and I know most of us, probably because we see the clients face to face, yeah, can you just bring your passport and driving license in next time you come in, because it's easy, it doesn't cost any money, but it does cost money because it costs time. You know, you've got to, you know, in the middle of the meeting, you yourself or one of your colleagues has got to take copies of it and do it all. Much more efficient to do it digitally if you can. There's loads of digital providers out there, but there's a great one in Cardiff called Credas. I wanted to support a Welsh company as well. So we just teamed up with Credas and just said, hey, just like we've done with eValue, we just embedded them in. So there's a single button. I want to do AML for my client, and your client can click on it and it just takes them across to Credas's website then. I'm very happy to look at others, you know, Smart Search or something like that. And if we can just put buttons in, and when you go across, it sends name and date of birth. So in Credas, your client will just go across to Credas and then just go through a very simple process. The feedback we've got, one of our biggest customers in the country use it for all their advisors nationally. It's been a revelation, absolutely brilliant. We currently charge £3.20 plus VAT to do an AML. That's because we have to pay Credas, and what we've done is we've been able to just buy in bulk and pass the saving on to you. And if you guys use it more, I can drive that cost down to close to £2. So use it, guys, and you can be doing anti-money laundering checks via CashCalc with no tie-ins, no contracts, down as low as £2. One of the things I'm thinking of and I'm talking about now is instead of even pay as you go, we just say, well, look, how many advisors at your firm? You say, I got one or I got two. And we say, look, you've got unlimited anti-money laundering, £10 a month or £15 a month. And then you don't have to worry about it. And you can go and do this. So if you're interested in doing that, do me a favor, guys, send an email to info@CashCalc straight after this and say, I'm interested in doing AML at 10 or 15 quid a month, guys. Can we do that? And that might then force my hand to say, you know, instead of doing a pay as you go, let's do some fixed amounts for these people. Secure messaging. My MD at Niche just he only communicates with his clients like this. No emails back and forth at all. Everything's secure messaging. He gets the secure message. His power planner gets the secure message. His administrator can look at it at the same time. So when he's with the client, his power planner can be in saying, "Yeah, Matt is with the client at the moment, but I'll get this sorted out for you." And it's instant secure messaging. We all do that now with WhatsApp and with Messenger. You can do it with your client on your app. So you can say to your client, download this app. I'd love to have had your name. If you look on the bottom left-hand corner there, it says Secure Portal with a little C. I didn't actually even want the name CashCalc there. I just thought, well, let's just do what it says in it. It's a secure portal. I wanted to put, you know, ABC Financial Services, etc. But each time you do that, you actually have to set up a specific account with the App Store and the Android store. So we couldn't do that. It would be a huge amount of work for us and for you guys. So we just set up a central one, called it Secure Portal. So you can download it and use it. Your clients can download and use it. No extra cost, guys. It's super efficient. Everything you do on the CashCalc website, you can do on the app. Because the truth is, the app is incredibly simple. It's basically just a simple, quick log on to the web app. It's really simple, guys. Okay? So I'd encourage you to use that if you can. Custom links. I said to you, custom links, they're really, really, really useful. What and my team want me to do. Why is that? Okay, I said to you earlier about digitally accepting documents. So you don't need a squiggle, but actually many of you will still want to use DocuSign and Adobe Sign, HelloSign, etc., because where the product is going may insist on it. So again, at Niche, we use Adobe Sign. So what my team do there is that they go into Adobe Sign, create the document, and say, yeah, I want the client to sign this. And instead of just pressing share with the client, they just copy the link to Adobe Sign, come back to CashCalc into the portal, and just paste it in the portal. And then they paste a custom link. So if you think of this now, you send a secure message to your client saying, yeah, I need you to just sign this document. The client clicks on the link from your secure message. They've got their smartphone with them, so their facial recognition or biometric to get in. So because they got their encrypted username and password. They're into the portal with your branding, and there's a link on there saying, can you digitally sign that? They press the link, it goes across to Adobe Sign, and they digitally sign the document. How cool is this, guys? How secure is that? And that's what custom links are. You can link them across to Dropbox. And again, it's only a small point, but can you see on the left-hand side, there's a little red box next to secure portal with an arrow, because that's actually YouTube. So you could actually link them to a video about your company and how you work with clients, or you can link them to Dropbox. But you can see when you type that secure link into the portal, we immediately do a bounce back and forth between the website to make sure you haven't mistyped it. And if you've mistyped it, a big X says invalid URL. But if it's a valid URL, it comes back with a green tick and it brings their icon back. So when the client looks at it, they can see they're clicking onto a YouTube video, they're clicking onto DocuSign. Again, these are just the little bits of detail we're trying to do to really, really delight your client for you. So have a look at custom links, guys, really, really useful. Another thing we've added is client tags. Again, this was feedback from some of our users. They were saying, look, I've got hundreds of clients in CashCalc now, Ray, but I only want to contact the ones who are mortgage providers. Is there any way I can put a tag on there? Great idea. So you can tag all of your pension clients who are in, FE investments, or all of your clients who are in the Vanguard Life Strat 40 or something. So you can literally just go in, search all your clients, filter them down, and then if you can see at the pop-up at the bottom center, you can export that client list as a CSV, or you can send them all a document. So all the clients in one go, you could send them a document. So it could well be, you've got an update from Vanguard and you want to send them a quarterly investment update, and you just send them all to the client in one go. Or you could send them all a link just saying, hey, markets are fairly volatile at the moment because of the Ukrainian war or the energy crisis, and you may have recorded a video and you want to send it to all your clients. Bang. Really, really simple way of doing it. I'm not trying to replace your CRM system or your back office system, but just a really, really quick way of communicating with either one or a chunk of your clients in one go, guys. Hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavor for how you can digitally engage the clients. I'm going to say then, what do you do with this information within CashCalc? Before I do that, though, I want to try and give you some numbers, some stats on why the clients might do this. So last year within CashCalc, we had 109,000 houses did a cash flow, just a cash flow. This is not some of the other tools, just a cash flow with their clients. And they did about 1/3 cash flows. So about 3 cash flows in each household. So I'd like to think most advisors are doing, here's your current situation. This is what I'm recommending, and here's a stress test. But of those 109,000 houses, 69,000 of them, between the advisor and the client, did a digital fact find. So there's still 40,000 where an advisor is sat there doing a paper fact find, going back and typing it all into CashCalc. Okay, fine, if that's how they want to work. But 69,000 of them thought, actually, let's do this jointly with the client, and we'll do it digitally and import the data in. So that's 109,000 down to 69,000. Of those 69,000, 30,000 houses did the fact find all by themselves. Client just did it. And then the advisor just thought, oh, brilliant, I'll import that data. So there's a lot of people doing it. And then I spoke to you about self-onboarding earlier. That's currently being used about 300 clients a month, 3,600 clients last year self-onboarded. So they literally just went on to the advisor's website, said, yeah, I'm going to become a client, and went straight in and then did their full digital fact find. Okay, so 3,600 of 109,000 is about 3%. So are we going to change the world with 3%? No, but actually it's a surprising amount, which that's 3% of all the clients who have a financial advisor or want a financial advisor are happy just to go on your website, start engaging with you and do the work. I think that's a real good start, guys. So anyway, so we got this information. What are we going to do with it? So we've got a bit of a servicing tab within CashGal. You can look at it. So if you use your Trello card or your Dropbox link, a couple of notes in there as well. So you can look at that. You'll probably then want to push this data into another product, mainly back office systems. And these are the back office systems that we're currently integrated with. And also at the bottom, what we're working on. Bottom right-hand corner, you see the Planner Boys there, getting a lot of traction and a lot of interest with a new back office they're building. I've been talking to the Planner Boys for a few months now, just to give benefit of my help and experience. I think they're doing a great job. And we'll be doing an integration with them. Bottom left, coming soon, FE Analytics. When I joined FE 16 months ago, first thing I said, we're going to build an integration. It's turned out to be much more complicated than I thought. But behind the scenes, we are still working on that. And that is a real important part of me when I'm trying to get that, that integration fully functioning so you can seamlessly send information back and forth between us. So let's just use the example now. So the client, you want to integrate it with the back office. We integrated with Curo earlier, so this time let's do in Intelliflo. So you can clearly see there, you use the Intelliflo back office, but it's not linked. So what you can do, say I'm going to sync with the back office. And on the left-hand side on the list, you can see contact methods. There's 2 items which are not synced. And then going on down investments, there's only 1, incomes, there's 2. So everything else is fully matched. What you have in CashGal completely matches with what's in Intelligent Office. Because this is a live API where we go bang, 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 what's there? So the first case, it says, look, we need to, what we've got is we've got an email and a phone, which is not connected. So you just need to press email and sync it, press phone and sync it. Now, there's a couple of next. Hopefully it shouldn't take you too long. If any of you read Twitter, I did have some feedback. I think it was yesterday from somebody saying there was too many clicks. I tested it and I agree it was. So behind the scenes, I'm trying to make it even quicker and easier for you guys. So even though I think it's brilliant, we can make it even brillianter, if that's a word. So keep giving me your feedback. I will keep listening. And as you can see, I responded on Twitter yesterday to say, yeah, we should make this better. So I want to keep making those pain points easier and better, guys. So as you can then see, once you've clicked next, it's now fully linked with your back office, and you can finally start building yourself a cash flow. And assuming you've built a cash flow and the client says, yeah, I want to do it, I want to invest the money, what we're all doing then, we're all going back and saying, oh, I'm going to go to Aviva or Aegon or Hubwise, and I'm going to type it in because I'm going to invest on this platform. What I'm trying to do now is work with platforms so we can straight through. And the first one we've just switched on just about 3 weeks ago is Fundment, where if you want to invest, you can just say, yeah, client's going to consolidate these 5 pensions. You can click the invest button. It'll pop up then all the available platforms that we can link to. At the moment, only Fundment is in there, but we are talking to more. And if you then click on Fundment, what it then immediately does is you click single sign-on, because it then logs you into Fundment because you previously put username and password in, which is encrypted. And what you've now got is you've got CashGal open, Fundment open, and you can say, right, this client is going to invest in Fundment. First thing it does is a live API and says, does this client already exist in Fundment? If it is, it matches them up, because you don't want to compromise your data and create new clients all the time. You need to match up existing clients. If the client's not already in there, it will then create the client in Fundment automatically. So from CashGal, you press a button, bang, creates it. So at the moment, all we're saving you is 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, we're saving you having to rekey name, date of birth, national insurance number, address, etc. But what we're doing is the start of the process, because what we're working with Fundment now is stage 2 is to bring back full transactional history, full unit values daily for the life of this product. So when you do your annual reviews of these clients, you can just go onto the link button, bring all of it back. And if you've got full transactional history, you know the custody costs, you know the investment management costs, you know the advisory costs. Now you can start producing your MiFID II data, and hopefully your review pack is going to be done in minutes rather than hours. And as I say, Fundment, as much as I love them, it's just the start. We're going to be working with other guys because, again, I want to make as many companies available for investment as possible. So if you've not tried it, try the investment button, guys. And if you want us to integrate with somebody else, send an email to info@cashcalc and say, Ray, can you integrate with Aviva, Hubwise, whatever you want. Just tell us. And if you email us and email them at the same time and say, hey, can you guys talk? Makes my life much easier when I go to a provider and say, can we integrate? And they say, why? I say, because you've just had 40 emails requests on it. So any questions? So if my team are listening in now, Jody and Connor, hopefully they've been answering your typed in questions. Were there any questions coming, guys, I need to go on?
Okay, so we did have a couple of questions come in. I'm going to go through 4 of them. So the first one we had was that we know that you can upload your own branding, but what about the colours? Can these be changed? And the answer is yes, they absolutely can. And to do that, you would just go to your settings tab and over to client portal preferences, and this is where you'll be able to choose the color of the invite button and some of the colors on that email if you choose to invite your client via CashCalc to the portal. If none of these colors quite match, you can click to enter your own color, and we'll just need a hex code just to get that shade kind of perfect.
Hex code?
Yeah.
You're talking to my fellow advisors there. I have no idea what hex code is, but hopefully some people are. Some people do know. So I'm assuming that's the exact code number of the color, is it?
Exactly that, yeah. It's just a code that refers to a very specific shade. Okay, so my second question was, how do we add the Become a Client button to our own website? I know you did talk a little bit there about client self-onboarding, but to do that, we're going to go in the same place, in the settings, and go to client self-onboarding here, and this is the link. If I just open this up in a little window for you, you can see what that would look like unbranded or branded with the CashCalc branding. We've got that video there. It's a short 1-minute video, animation style type video, just explaining what a portal is. And then we've got this register to become a client. So the best thing about this really is that you're going to be getting leads that are you don't even know their name yet, and they've already given you that information and want to become a client of yours. So massive time saver for you. But what that then is going to look like, we do have an example of what that looks like. So this is the niche website here. If we go to contact us, we've got a become a client button where that link has been embedded into this website. We click there and it takes us to the branded version of that page, which would obviously be your own branding. Okay, so I'll just close down these.
And if you're listening, guys, it works. It really does. We get a regular supply of new clients at niche that just self-onboard.
Excellent. Okay, so probably just time for 2 more questions, but we've got how do I get my existing client data from IO into CashCalc? So again, where kind of all of these questions are within the settings section, we need to actually set the integration up. So to do that, we'll go to integrations here and click install. We've got a couple of videos which, shameless plug, I recorded the audio for. So we've got some informational videos that will explain to you the integration between IO. These can all be found if you click on your initials in the top right corner and go to the Advice Hub TV tab there. But you need to set that integration up, and once that's set up, when you come to add in a new client, instead of adding a brand new client and manually typing their name in there, you can link to an existing one in the back office system. You search for your Joneses, all of the Joneses will come up, and you just choose the one in particular that you're trying to that you want to work on, and that's going to bring that client along with the client's pensions, investments, their income, expenditure, their contact details, etc. That'll bring all of that into Cash Calc for you, and that will be sitting then in that client information page. We did also get a question, once we've received a client fact find, what happens next? I think, Ray, you did kind of cover that, but I'll just kind of go over it just once more. Once the client submits the fact find, you will have that fact find sitting in the fact find tab associated to that specific client. It will be tagged, it'll be blue, and it'll be tagged that it's complete and ready for review. That'll give you the option to review that client data and make sure that it's all just run your eyes over it before you accept that data into Cash Calc. And once you do save and proceed, that will then move the information to the client information page, and all of those relevant pieces of information will sit under these different tabs here. And as Ray has already explained, but I will just explain again, from there you can then choose to send that data to one of our calculators. Of course, we've got the gross and net cash flow modelers, but we do also have some other calculators with this internal integration to share data around, and you can choose to send that to the IHT planner, etc. And yeah, just to save that pain of having to rekey data that you've already got. And that's all for the questions. If that we do have those questions on us, so we will kind of go through and reach out to anybody who wasn't answered. Thank you for everybody who did ask a question, and yeah, and thank you, Ray.
Thanks, and I'm back again Thursday, guys. So if you've just tagged and caught the end of it and want to watch the start again, so you can do it all again Thursday. Good luck with business. Thanks for your feedback, guys.